Hi everyone, good evening, morning, day, or night, wherever you are in the world, and thank you for joining in on this video. My name's Shinji, and I usually do little animatics that I take my sweet time with, because I'm lazy, but I participated in Art Fight for the first time this year and decided to make a video about it. Mostly for content reasons, but also to show off my PNG tuber in action. But this is my first time doing commentary like this, so this will probably be extremely amateurish. I hope you can see past that. So this is going to be sweet and concise, so get some tea, pull out your sketchbook or something, and maybe just keep this on as background noise. I'd say we dive right in. If you're new to this, and maybe you have no clue what Art Fight is, here's a quick rundown. Art Fight is an annual event lasting all of July where artists fight each other by drawing essentially fan art of other people's characters to give them to one another and gain points. Every participant is part of a team, and by the end, the team that has gathered the most points through shared artistic efforts wins. Normally, there are only two teams rivaling each other, but because Art Fight as we know it now turned 10 years old this year, happy birthday by the way, the devs put up three teams to rival each other: comedy, tragedy, and mystery. I joined the latter, by the way. But I'm terrible at explaining things, so if you're interested in knowing more, I'd advise you to either look for a YouTuber more suited to explain all that, or visit Art Fight's About page I linked in the description box. I don't want to keep you hanging for much longer, so we'll just get on with it. The first attack I dealt was that against the last Starling with her LC's Crow and Owl. The two of them are mother and daughter and important characters in Starling's Nightingale series. Their relationship is complicated. Owl grew up with Crow's ex-wife Swan and is estranged from Crow, but Crow tries to reconnect with her daughter years after leaving her behind. Owl keeps pushing her away, which, understandable after what happened. I wanted to capture that in my attack, so I knew I wanted Owl to turn away from Crow, unsure how to handle her mother's affection. And in turn, Crow was meant to assure Owl that she would support every decision she makes. Originally, Crow was meant to stand during the iteration. Starling actually provided a pretty useful height chart. My god, is Crow tall! But I like the symbolism of having her sit to elevate Owl, sitting on a piano and looking up at her instead of down. Why a piano? Because it is mentioned in the lore that Crow is a renowned pianist, and what better way to connect with your child than over something you use to express emotion? I cannot stress how intriguing the whole Nightingales lore is, and I have yet to get into their Turn of Fate series as well. I barely breached the surface of the characters, and I implore you to check out her Art Fight page and read up all about the lore yourself. Her profile is linked in the description box. Attack number 2, Peanut Butter Cookie 11, whom I'm gonna refer to as Peens from here on out because I refuse to pronounce her name every time I pick it up. With her OCs, Lillian, Fior, and Aphil Everett. Peens is actually what I would consider a friend of mine, and fun fact, the person that got me into Art Fight in the first place. She has a bunch of different OCs on her profile, all of which are really cute, but I wanted to draw Aphil and Lillian for two reasons. A, I had already drawn her main Jibakushon Hanako-kun OC, Unmei, multiple times in the past and wanted to branch out a bit. And B, I'd been planning on drawing Lillian for the longest time because I am just in love with her design. These two, in fact, originated from an original story called The Muted Echoes of the One Who Cannot Speak. It's a bit of a mouthful, just call it Tmiotoks. Tmiotoks? Just call it Muted Echoes. The book itself has not reached past the prologue yet, but I really look forward to the continuation, and if you want to give it a try, I linked her Art Fight profile as well as her Wattpad in the description box. To be frank, right off the bat, my biggest struggle was perspective, which is almost embarrassing with such a straightforward and simple layout. Aphil and Lillian have some height shenanigans going on as well, and I really don't know why I struggled so much with putting them into the right perspectives. That honestly might just be because I still struggle a lot with showing the height difference between characters that stand right next to each other. Definitely made me realize where I need to put more practice into. Since Lillian is a mage, I suspected her to be a supporter in battles rather than an active fighter. Aphil, on the other hand, seems to be the main force of combat, but it isn't disclosed exactly what type of weapon she uses, so I just gave her a bland sword. I'm also terrible at weapon design, so please look past that piss-poor placeholder excuse of an epic fantasy sword. It has a purple handle, that's all I'm offering. Having your back actually got revenged. Peens drew this adorable artwork of Yuzu, one of my two LCs on my profile, and I really like that she immediately jumped onto the vague bit of lore I provided. I love the little hearts and the bow on the press, and I like how she colored the eyes, and overall it's just really special to me, as this was the first attack that was ever dealt to me. Thank you again so much for drawing Yusu, I really appreciate it. Next attack went up against the user Yuki Koko and her D&D OC Helen. Helen is described to be an albino half-kitsune who dyed her hair black to go unrecognized after years of being shipped around like merchandise. She's also a tavern owner and a trained assassin. Yuki Koko specifically asked for Helen to be shown running the tavern, so I thought, why not? Coming up shows Helen poisoning a customer's drink before serving their order, calling out to them that she was on her way to their table. Said customer is the priority target on her list, and I just thought that the best environment for her to act out a murder. Said customer is the priority target on her list, and I just thought that the best environment for her to act out a murder this way is her own tavern. I mean, who's gonna fire her? The heir? Combining her two jobs like this was the safest option for me to capture what I understood about her character and story. The one thing that's bothering me about the finished piece is that hand. I mean, the shading of her skin, but also that hand. Helen is an albino, and I feel like I accidentally got rid of that. I already toned down the shading a tad, but I feel like that wasn't just quite enough yet. If you have any advice on how to properly shade albino characters, I'd be grateful if you'd share it down below, honestly. This work, too, got revenged by an artwork of Yusu. Yuki Koko apparently had a bookmarked already, but I bet her to the attack, so... Aha! I love to see people actually tapping into the bit of lore I provide on my OCs and just run with it in their attacks. Yuki, thank you so much for this cool picture of Yusu. I really appreciate it and your intentions with it. Also, looking at the present, I realized I knew how great of a color combo red and white can be. I should make use of that more often, but that's just me rambling. If you want to check out Yuki Koko's other OCs, her Artfight profile is linked below. Between my third and fourth attack, I was shot in the heart by this lovely illustration of my OC Desiree. Mamiloons? Mimiloons? Mamiloons? Am I pronouncing this right? I'm so sorry if I'm butchering your name. Has this super stylized drawing style. Very cartoony, and I love how they capture Desiree. With the starry eyes and the way the colors accentuate the dreamy atmosphere. I love it. It's so, so sweet. Thank you so much, Mamiloons, for drawing my baby. My fourth attack was dealt against Chlorine Florine, and is that my wife, May? Florine has this really intriguing OC called Stew, and people, the design. I adore bizarre designs like this, and I knew I had to draw her. Stew is an orphan child whose dying wish had been for nobody to have to experience the pain of starvation anymore. Her monster companion, who overtook her body after her death, unfortunately misinterpreted this and decided to start a cult. Become one with the stew is whole, the stew is merciful, and only after becoming one with its glory may you find salvation. That's the stew monster talking, not me.
Hey bro, what do you want to eat?
The souls of the innocent.
A bagel.
No!
2 bagels.
I thought the premise was too funny not to pick up on. Florine's art style is beautiful, but it's also really vague in these images, so I had to interpret some shapes and was simultaneously extremely grateful that they provided some descriptions on the side. Like how Stu actually lost her arms, which is why they were replaced by her veil. In fact, figuring out what exactly her body had and hadn't going on was the toughest part, but it was really, really fun to fill in some creative blanks that weren't totally clear in the reference. I love the idea with the lit stovetop behind her head like a halo, and I knew I wanted to shroud her in darkness for only her perpetually smirking face to be somewhat clearly visible. Nice to meet you should capture the sight of maybe another orphans you found and picked up on the streets before converting them into the cult and save them, I guess. I don't dare think too much about what salvation means in the dictionary of a stew monster who's taken over a human corpse. I love being part of a generation that has the liberty to think thoughts like that. Holy shit. Grin stretched wide. God damn it. Excuse me. Grin stretched wider and lifting her pot hat, the illuminated figure greets you with the promise of a full stomach and a warm home. A warmth you can feel radiating off the flames of their mysteriously afloat halo. Chlorine and Florine's Artfight page and Instagram are both linked in the description box, and I advise you to check it out. Their OC designs are super creative, and paired with this art style makes them a really skilled artist. Oh, my dear Shinobu. You thought you'd get away. Well, guess what? The last attack was against my friend Shinobu and her D&D OC, Kiara. I didn't have a lot of time left to procrastinate on yet another larger piece, like I've been doing all July in fact, without art block, so I had to stick to a simpler motif. Kiara loves strawberry cake, based, and murders people to eat and replace them afterwards. You know, what changelings do. Since the actual pose of her just being this kind, shy girl eating cake was a little too bland, I fixed in some vintage props from Pinterest and made it this collage of actual drawing and photographs, basically. It was more of an experiment and mostly just served to save me some time in the creation process, but I really do like how it turned out and actually came to love the style a lot. That was it. Those were all the works I can show you. Thank you again to all the wonderful people for allowing me to show your art and talk about your season as a way to make this video happen. Despite not being able to draw as much as I'd wanted to, I had an incredibly fun time discovering so many cool artists and characters, figuring out the flaws I hadn't noticed in my art before, and trying to branch out by drawing characters with elaborate and intricate designs and practice detailing a little bit. At the time of recording, the winner is yet to be announced. Nevertheless, I tip my hat to all the tens of thousands of people who have participated in Art Fight this year. I could have never guessed the dimensions in which this actually takes place. As a newcomer, I knew it was a big event, but holy cow, I didn't know it was that big. And the best part about it all is that despite there being so many people involved, I never saw a single person using Gen AI, and that makes me genuinely so happy. If you want to nerd out about your own experiences or OCs in the comments, feel free, leave your art fight, leave your socials for others to discover, spread your human-made art like wildfire. I am glad I went through with making this video. I wasn't sure if I actually wanted to do a commentary video because I'm very introverted and less vocal about my opinions. But it was a lot of fun to voice my thoughts and just glaze some things that I enjoyed wholeheartedly and was extraordinarily glad to try out. Thank you, Beans, for getting me into Heart Fight. I will definitely continue this little annual tradition in the future. Until next year, fellow artists, and have an awesome time!